up, people? Anyway, I almost got into a Twitter fight this week. It's really weird because I don't pay that much attention to Twitter. I mean, I think it's just, a million people being snarky, trying to say something compelling in, 256 characters or less. But it can't be done. Best thing that can be done are links to good stuff. And that's what I pay attention to. I follow maybe 400 people. And I use the aphorism is Facebook is for the people you used to know, LinkedIn is for the people you need to know, and Twitter is for the people you want to know. So I already even know who I want to know, and I'm rarely surprised by people who want to, that I want to know, that I follow. But every once in a while, maybe once a week or twice a week, I find somebody worth knowing. But I'm happy that I have more Twitter followers than people that I follow. It's not like I don't already have enough things to think about, and I do. So anyway, somebody's basically trolling Free Black Thought, of which I am a founder, and I always say co-founder because there's four of us in the core, but there's others of us that work with Free Black Thought, and it's not even that formally, I mean, my name is on the papers. I'm on the incorporation for the 501c3 in the California Nonprofit Corporation as the treasurer and kind of the secretary. I'm like the operations officer. I make sure things work, basically, and as an online entity, that's what I do. What I don't do so much is the editing of papers that we accept for submission. I don't get down into the weeds as an editor, but I'm on the editorial board, and my suggestions are taken seriously, just like anybody else's. And that's basically it. Now, the problem is that some people, in FBT get on Twitter duty, and so it's their job to get on and tweet and keep all that stuff humming. And one of those people is anonymous, and that is because this is a person who works in a situation where wokey racists are likely to try to cancel this person. And so we agreed from day one, when that person came on board, that we'll keep them anonymous, and that's how we roll. And it's pretty simple as that. But like any other serious organization that claims to be against the idea of race essentialism, we'd be kind of silly if we just thought only black people understand that. It's like why even publish a book or get online if you think it's only going to be beneficial to black people? And if you sit and think about it for a minute, that's all there is to it. But I understand why people who want to be blackety black and feel like they're pro-black and black first think that this is a kind of information that can only be generated by black people. And yeah, but if all we were was black, then yeah, you could say that. I mean, if there was a black cultural orthodoxy that we would say only black people can generate this and only black people can appreciate this, then yeah, I mean, you'd have a better chance with that speaking an African language. But then you get into all kinds of philosophical conundrums, which is basically, does language define meaning? And language does not define meaning. That was the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. And so basically, language is free-flowing, and you think with it in real time, and that doesn't determine what your intelligence is. There are better and worse languages to express things, but that is only a matter of efficiency. That is to say, I use bigger words because they have better connotations and they're very precise. I can say, you know what I mean, not like this, but kind of like that, but I can be precise as well. So language will help you not beat around the bush and get precisely to a point that's unambiguous. That's an intelligent use of language, but language doesn't constrain your intelligence. And my point here is that anything that's communicated that can be good, of benefit to anybody, can be done with language that is understandable by anybody and that is producible by anybody, i.e. the truth speaks for itself, i.e. wisdom becomes self-evident over time. And if you don't have time to deal with that, then you're going to get stuck with these racial categories, these essentialisms, which say, well, only black people can talk like this, and everything else is intellectual appropriation, blah 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 blah. I don't even know categorically how people can get wrong, but they do, and that's why it takes some better writing than what you're going to find in a tweet storm, no matter how long the thread is. And I expect that maybe one day there will be something so compelling on Twitter that I might use one of those thread readers, unstackable things, and I might even use it the other way around to take something that I thought I said that was very good and put it into, 8 of 12 tweets or something like that, where you do the fractions of your tweet. But I'd much rather people just read the freaking paragraphs that I write. But anyway, the more that I spend time thinking about this stupid problem, well, let me put it to this way: there's other people in Free Black Thought who take this more seriously than I do. But I tell you, the top 3 officers don't take it that seriously, and so we're just like gonna sit on it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, a lie can get around the world faster than truth can put its pants on. And if people want to mischaracterize, but let me get to the heart of the characterization, because I basically said, look, if nobody's going to put us on a significant podcast to get to the bottom of this thing, then who cares? And the significant lie that this that was circulated through this is that Free Black Thought is a pawn of right-wing organizations, and anything we do against DEI and equity and all the woke stuff, we're just being paid by evil white supremacist plotters in a conspiracy, which is silly. But people who will believe anything about race will believe anything about anything. So what you gonna do? The bird that stalks down its narrow cage is blinded by his awful rage, or something like that, was what Maya Angelou said. And so people are raging on us and thinking that we're a dupe because we're defending Clarence Thomas by pointing out that he has been called a nigger by various folks, including white liberals, and a house nigger by black liberals. And again, the racial insults reveal a fundamental belief that there's only a specific thing that black people should believe, and this outlier is a traitor to the race. And we're all about defeating the idea of a racial orthodoxy in terms of what people of African descent ought to think, ought to do, ought to believe, ought to behave, ought to conduct themselves. You know, my rule is don't second guess black folks. And I don't have a reason to, I don't have a desire to, and I don't concern myself with the fate of the black race. You know, there's more than twice as many of us as there were when I was born, so we must be doing something right. And we got a president up there, and now two justices on the Supreme Court. And so this is really not about Roe v. Wade or any of these arguments. It's just people don't like this individual, Clarence Thomas, and they decide to attack him racially. And you know, it's not the first time. Remember the high-tech lynching. So you know, whatever he wrote about it, I have a lightweight interest in the Supreme Court decisions. You know, because once you get over a certain level in this society, there's things you don't worry about because you're part of it. And as De La Soul said in Biddies in the BK Lounge, I got too much family to heed your threats. So it's like, I don't know. I can't take it seriously but I do want to emphasize that the Foundation for Free Black Thought is not funded by political partisanship. We have a bunch of ideas. We are politically diverse within our operations, and we're not trying to make a political point. At least I am coming it from a philosophical, logical perspective of race is a lie. So why people want to live that lie? And of course, it's a compelling fiction. Just like Star Wars is compelling fiction. You cannot deny the power of that mythos. And it's embedded in people's minds. But they have to understand that's not reality. But when they start talking about reality in terms of, oh, well, you know, that thing that happened to him was just like when the Sith took over, you know, planet Mardu. I'm like, you know, what's that supposed to mean? Like Malcolm X and Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois were the only black people who could rub two neurons together in the history of America, and therefore all black people have to march according to some fraction of their philosophy. I mean, that's just stupid, and it's you know, it's self-limiting, and I understand people are going to live and die that way, and that's the hill they want to die on. Well, you know, sorry. But anyway, not sorry. That's the tale on this end of the yellow truck. I'm about to get myself a music book, and I'll be right back. Tales from the yellow truck. So I just came to Sam Ash here in Torrance, and you know, I think they're as big in this location as they were when they were across the street on Hawthorne Boulevard over across from Trader Joe's. And but they're not getting the inventory that they used to for their music books. But they still have a lot of music books. But it took me half an hour for them to figure out the right UPC code and SKU numbers so they could charge me the right amount for these beginner piano books that I got. So I got my beginner piano books. What is this? Grade 1, Michael Aaron piano course, some lessons. I had to get one that didn't have the Volga boat song and the other stuff that was in my little red piano book that I had when I was like 8. But they do have some adult things. I got enough music theory watching to Rick Beato so I can actually make a little bit of sense of this stuff. That doesn't mean my fingers know anything, but in the past week, I swear my fingers have gotten stronger, and I can reach across, 9 keys with fair amount of ease that I couldn't do. My left hand triads are still weak, but at least my little finger is not like vibrating. That's what it did. Like the first 2 days, I was like just trying to do a C major scale on my left hand, and it was horrible. But I'm definitely getting stronger. But I can see that I do a lot of mousing. Okay, I've done mousing forever. So on my right hand, the dexterity is good and I can move the fingers independently. But my left hand, even when you're doing your keyboard, your left little finger doesn't do much work. It does the Z maybe, and yeah. So, and my thumbs are good from gaming. And interestingly enough, my gaming has improved. I'm just doing something slightly different and trusting my hands a little bit more, but my reaction times are getting quicker. So just a good set of keyboard exercises is going to be really good for me, and I'm glad about that. The second thing was I have my Klipsch. Well, actually, I have Klipsch powered speakers that are in my office now for the office TV, and I have a KRK subwoofer, which is like a 10-inch subwoofer that packs 300 watts of power, but it's just been sitting collecting dust since I put in my reference stereo in the living room a year ago, maybe a year and a week ago. So now I am like ready to put that one to work, but the subwoofer output on the Klipsch powered speakers does not go into balanced inputs. So I'm gonna try to figure that out. I hope it works, but I don't think it's gonna work. So even if it doesn't, it's okay. I'm watching the new Navy SEAL drama with Chris Pratt, and it's actually pretty good. I'm liking it better than they did the Gray Man, or they did the first Gray Man, and that was kind of weak. This one is pretty good. I had to give it to him. And there's certain things that they do that are stereotypical for these kinds of dramas. But so here's the one. Here's the one drama that I know, and if maybe Hollywood is barred from saying it, you know what? I'm not even gonna say it, because you know me. You know I went to the FBI Citizens Academy, so I got to see operators work in a shot house where they're doing, staging in front of doors and then throwing their poppers into the room and clearing rooms and stuff like that. And so there's some of that stuff that's accurate and some of that stuff that's not quite accurate, and it's a big deal. So if I said it, so I'm not going to say it, but I know that there's and when these guys are actually moving for real, it is impressive. It's anybody who watches basketball or soccer knows when people are moving smartly on the floor, and these guys are fast and they move very smartly on the floor, and when you see them, you're just like, oh, nobody has a chance against these operators. And I'm sure I'm seeing the nation's best, but I'm not seeing world class. So it's fairly frightening to know what they can do if they needed to do it. But it's very rare that they have to bring that kind of tactical strength to most situations. But I do know that they work with HRT, with hostage rescue teams, and these people could handle school shootings like that. They really could. They're just not, you just can't call them on a dime, that's all. And but what do I know? I'm just a civilian trying to learn how to play piano, and I am late for lunch. So I took the wife and my oldest daughter out last night to my favorite restaurant, which is Little Sister, and we went to the El Segundo one. And man, I had this full wok of black rice with okra and clams and octopus and mussels and scallops, and it was a bomb. It was a bomb. I took a picture of it, and I'm gonna have to put that up into my Flickr, and then yeah, that's an interesting thing to do, because I do have my Flickr and it's been open to the public. I don't have like 20 followers. I don't even know if that many, but I've had Flickr since George Kelly. Thank you, George, for putting me in the Flickr Pro. And no thank you to Yasha Monk, because I didn't want to be a founding member of Persuasion again this year. You charged me again, and I didn't want that. But, you know, that's a good deed that has gone punished. Now I've put out all that money. I'm going to see if I can get it back, though, really. So that's all. That's Tales for the Yellow Truck for this weekend. Happy 4th of July. Enjoy yourselves. Take care of yourself. Be healthy. Stay safe. And farewell. One more thing. I have just rediscovered my old Buckshot LaFunk album, which was so good. So, you know, when I was in the first section, when I was talking about Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Case Bird Sings, that's like track number 4 or 5 on that album, the original Buckshot LaFunk. And I was so in love with that album. Me and my wife played it all the time when we were living up near Grant's Tomb in New York City. And she was pregnant for my oldest daughter. And because we played that so much, we were actually going to name her Maya. I wasn't. I was like, no way. I don't want, you know, as much as I like Maya Angelou, which is somewhere between, as much as I like Scotty, who goes like, okay, it's cool, but not brilliant. What's the name of that group? You know what I'm talking about. It's got a set of twins in it, and it's not the Spinners. It's and that means I'm gonna get you, baby. Anyway, I like Maya Angelou, but I don't like her that much. So I don't want my daughter named Maya, and we didn't. But man, Black Widow Blues right now, it's in my head. It's such a doom 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 doom. I love that song. I'm gonna play it. And most importantly, the singer who did Another Day, and I'm blanking on his name. I played his stuff so much. When we lived in Altadena, I was with Frank McComb. Frank McComb is the reincarnation of he's like a cross between Jeffrey Osborne and oh my god, I'm gonna have to edit my stupidity out of this, because when he sings, he's so good, and he plays piano too. There's something wrong. There's something wrong in this country when Frank McComb isn't as a big star as John Legend. Okay, I said I would take Frank McComb over John Legend any day. I tell you that right now. On the keyboard, he's better. His voice is better. His compositions are better, and it's just that John Legend is eating Frank McComb's lunch, you know, in the same way that NBA players with these multi-zillion-dollar contracts are not as good as Will Chamberlain. So Frank McComb, I remember you, my brother, and you deserve the props. All right. So that's the name of that dude. Later, y'all. Frank McComb, buy his stuff. He's brilliant. Donny Hathaway. That's what I was trying to remember. Frank McComb is the heir to Donny Hathaway. Period.